All right, this is the Integrated Rehab and Performance Podcast, and today I am here with teaching pro Nancy Quarcelino.
Perfect.
Did I say that now? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time and dealing with all the technical difficulties of the app here, but I really do appreciate it, and I know a lot of people are very excited to learn a little bit more about what you got going on and kind of how you ended up where you are here today. So if you could tell us a little bit more about kind of how you got to Nashville and how you built the school of teaching that you're doing today.
Absolutely. I came to Nashville in 1986. I was recruited by Hermitage Golf Course to come be their head professional at Hermitage Golf Course. So I was, before that, I was up in Kentucky. I was a head professional in Kentucky at a club, and Mike Eller recruited me down to Old Hickory, Tennessee to Hermitage, and we opened up Hermitage Golf Course. And so before that, I was a collegiate coach, golf coach, and I coached for Florida State University and Western Kentucky University. And I was in the side of golf that was ringing up green fees and doing tournaments and things like that. And Mike wanted me to find a teaching school, a golf school. And so I researched and did a lot of research with different golf schools in the country. And I came to him and I said, I have your golf school. I know what it is. And he said, well, who is it? I said, it's me. And so I retired from being a head professional director of golf to owning and running my own golf school. So at that time in 1992, I actually started my own golf school and just started teaching. At that time, of course, we didn't have internet. We didn't have any websites or anything like that. So it was all by phone. It was all, people were calling in. I got a phone call and it's referrals. And that's right. To this day, that's how I grow my business is through a referral engine. And people just find me because they just understand that they're looking for somebody, maybe somebody different and whatever. But for the last 40 years, this is all I've done is run the Nancy Quarcelino School of Golf. I've got a business partner, Rita Reasons, that does it with me. And we've grown it and done it and enjoyed it. And still to this day, just go into work and enjoy teaching and helping people with their games.
Yeah, beautiful. And I have to say from my experience and how I've learned more about you as well is the same thing. People just talk about you, patients of mine, golfers that have said really nice things about you and have known people that have worked with you and some other people interested in working with you. And so I'd say that checks out from what I've seen as well, that people just have very nice things to say. So well done there at the school. What was that process like of starting the golf school? What kind of motivated you or gave you the willpower to think that you were the one when you were trying to help find a golf school? What changed you to thinking, no, I'm the golf school? What was it in your head?
Well, the first thing I did we did as a golf school is we contacted golf courses and said, what do you have to offer? We even, before you could know who was calling on a phone, we would say, hey, my husband and I are looking, and my two kids were looking at what can you do to offer? And so we just had a spreadsheet of every golf course that was open at that time and what they did or what they didn't do. And we developed our programs based on there was nothing out there at that time. Yeah. Now that's all changed. There's most everybody at every golf course has a golf teacher of some sort. We actually have, our school's been around for so long, but just about everybody has that person that's going to help you with their golf game. So it became just where we just kind of stayed in our lane and did our thing. We grew first, as for women and juniors, we did a lot of beginner women clinics because there was nothing out there for them. Then we had a LPGA USGA Girls Golf Club for 25 years, where we grew young female athletes to play golf. And then now probably the majority of our lessons are, well, probably 65% are men and the rest of them are women and new golfers.
Yeah.
And so people, the women will come to us because we're a woman,
Sure.
because of that. But then the men will come because we know what we're doing and how to take care of them, how to fix them, how to work with them. I mean, it's like you. I mean, people come to us and they may not be able to make the move that they want to make in golf, and it may be physical.
That's right.
And because of that, we have to learn that. So we became really, really good at understanding the body and understanding what could happen and what you could do with the golf game. And because of that, we've just grown. Because of that, we've grown by taking the person in front of us, taking them and saying, here you are. What do you want? What's your limitations? Tell me if you had any surgeries, what's going on. I want to know
Yeah.
what those limitations are to understand if you can make a swing or make a. Yeah, I work with people with yips and chipping and putting, and it's neurological, and you're just having to deal with different things. And so we just take that person in front of us, and for that hour, that's their vacation.
Right.
They're in front of us for that vacation.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And it's good. More people, and it seems like you did this pretty early on, started to appreciate the physical side to the golf swing. In the past, people have thought it's not a very athletic sport, and this or that. I think that people pretty well accept how athletic the golf swing is, but really starting to appreciate that some people are not walking around with a body that can necessarily do what they're asking it to do.
That's right.
And just being able to appreciate the positions that we actually have to get in.
Well,
To
it was
make.
nice that I studied that in master's school as well.
Oh, nice.
Exercise physiology, I
Yeah.
studied that early on, and myself included. I've got limitations at my age that I have to work around for me to play
Hmm.
at a great way that I can't play like I used to, but I can
Sure.
still go out and have a good time with golf.
Of course. Now, I'm very interested to ask, when you first started the school and you started working with some golfers, was there a trend of things that you found you were almost always working on with these golfers or certain things? And has that trend changed today? Has there been over the last couple decades, a couple of differences in what the big miss or the big problem is with people?
Well, to start out, people always want to hit more distance. They want to hit the ball farther, and they
Oh yeah.
want to hit it straighter, and they want to hit it solid. And they
Yeah.
say, I want consistency.
Hmm.
Well, consistency's hard in golf. I mean, I'm watching the Tour Championship and the women play and the men play, and you may shoot 61 today and may shoot 71 the next day. They may do that, and so there's not a consistent part. It's every shot is different. Every wind, lie, angles, everything's going to be different. You're going to be off to this side. You're going to have a tree in your way. You're going to have a
That's
divot.
right.
There's nothing consistent in golf, and that's what's hard with people, is that they want consistency. So on that lesson tee, they are in a controlled environment, flat ground, maybe no wind, maybe some wind,
Yeah.
but they still want the same things. They want to be consistent. They want to hit the ball straighter, and they want more distance. And as we grow older, we're going to lose X amount of distance every year, and nobody wants to hear that. And I'm the prime example of that. When I used to be able to hit a 250-yard drive, and I can now only hit a 200-yard drive. As I get older, I'm going to lose distance. I just have to
Yeah.
move my tees a little more forward.
I see. So you're saying even back then people were asking for more
Same
distance.
thing.
It
Yeah.
didn't take Bryson or Rory for people to start asking for more distance.
No, they wanted it at the very beginning. They want, everybody wants that, and they want to hit their iron solid. They don't want to hit the ground. They don't want to hit it thin, and they don't know why they do it. And then I have to give them the reasons why, and then how they have to move to make it to where they can do that. But distance, still number one. Fixing a slice,
Sure. Yeah.
fixing any kind of curves, anything like that still is what people want. And
Uh,
there's four things in golf. You need to hit your driver straight. You need to have low putts. You need to not have 3 and 4 or 5 putts. You need to have 1 or 2 putts. You need to chip and pitch around the green to where you chip for the first time onto the green one time and stay on the green. And you need to get out of the bunker in one shot. So there's four things, but most everybody comes to, I want distance.
yeah. Yeah. Are you noticing that back when you first started, the misses, was it the same? Are people slicing as much today as they were before? Were you seeing people were hooking a little bit more before? Have you found any sort of consistency with that?
Yeah, they're doing it a little bit more. They're curving the ball more
Hmm.
now. And
Interesting.
part of that reason is the standard men's length driver is almost 46 inches. It's 45 and a half inches. The standard women's length driver is 44 and a half. And they've just gotten, the head's bigger and the length is bigger, and now they're making drivers with draw biases and making shafts lighter and heavier. And back then we only had a graphite shaft that was really whippy, and a regular and a stiff shaft, and that was it. Now we have all these combinations that we
Yeah.
can fit people in, and we do club fitting as well with people, and we do this club fitting, and we do this. And then you've got, I'm like yesterday I had a gentleman and I couldn't get the ball straight for him
Yeah.
because he had a 25-year-old driver, and it I couldn't adjust it, couldn't do anything, but I could adjust a new driver and I could put it in his hand and make it go straighter. But he
I
wasn't there
see.
for a club fitting.
I
He
gotcha.
wanted me to help him, so I had to do everything I could to try to get that slice out. It happens every day.
I see. Yeah. So we're dealing with the same stuff that we've always had with golfers. We want to hit it further,
Yeah,
and we're dealing with a slice or a hook, but maybe more so now. So the tech, even though it's gotten better, it's also left some people more open to bigger misses, right?
that's
If you kind
correct.
of wield it,
Yeah,
there's more speed. You're further from the ball, all sorts of things. Okay.
yep, that's
Yeah, very
correct.
interesting. You're the first one to mention that some you're maybe even seeing more of a distribution in terms of what you're having to work with. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if you don't have the clubs that are perfect for you, or at least close to that, then we're going to have to make compensations with your body to make this. We're going to
Yeah.
have to tilt. We're going to have to get the grip stronger. We're going to have to do all sorts of things when we may not have to do that if the equipment that you have is good.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest thing that people are missing in terms of a club fitting? Is it going to be the length of the club? What is it that you're the most important thing, the first thing you'd go to if you want to fit someone for a club that you're looking at?
The weight of the shaft.
I see.
The weight of the shaft is the most important thing. And everything gets lighter as it gets longer, but it's how the shaft loads. It's how the student loads the shaft. And what I mean by that, it's how, if they have a heavy load coming in, or if the shaft is not twisting and turning enough, but it's definitely the weight of the shaft
I
and
see.
the head combination weight makes all the difference in the world. I can put a 40-gram shaft in somebody and they can hit it great. Put a 50-gram shaft, just 10 grams more, and the ball goes. And they say, "No, I'm just not hitting it well." I say, "No, it's the shaft." So
Yeah.
it's the shaft is going to be the biggest, really, engine of a golf swing
Very interesting.
besides the
And
body.
Sure. And that's the one thing that where I just give up when I'm thinking about all the different types of shafts, and you
Mhm.
talking about the different makes, basically models, the weights, and this is where like listen, I played hockey, and we had a lot of different types of hockey sticks, but it is nothing compared to the head combination with shaft combination for golf, and
That's
that's where maybe one of your most valuable assets is really understanding that and then being able to help people with that aspect. Do you think that more people are starting to appreciate or understand the club fitting
Yeah,
and
we
the role that
probably
that
do.
plays?
Is we probably that's one of the first things. Well, besides asking a student, do they have any limitations? While they're warming up, I'm looking at their clubs. I'm looking at their shafts. I'm looking at their clubs. I'm seeing if the iron shafts are steel or graphite, stiff, extra stiff. I'm looking at, well, they have a regular shaft in a 3 wood and they have a stiff shaft in a hybrid. Well, I picked these up here and I picked these up. Sometimes they just have a mismatch of clubs.
Yeah.
And there may be a mismatch enough that they can't hit a club and they don't know why. And then all of a sudden, well, this grip hadn't been changed in 2 years and this shaft is different. So we have to look at everything when they come to make sure. And so we probably do as much club fitting. Probably a third of our lessons are club fitting lessons, and 2/3 are let's get the ball straighter, let's get it more distance, let's do
Yeah.
that. But we have a huge club fitting business.
I see.
That there at Gaylord, we have Ping, and we have Callaway and Zexio, and Titleist and TaylorMade and Mizuno, and Zexio is the very one of the very lightest clubs out there for a little older population. Myself, that needs to hit it farther and maybe needs pretty light, and then then all the way to a Mizuno that's going to be a really good players club,
I see.
all the way to everything in between. Yeah.
Do you think that too many people that you're working with are using blades or clubs that
No,
are
no. Most
no?
everybody, if you're seeing a blade in a lesson, that blade, that forged club, they're either gonna be somebody that the clubs were given to them, or they're a great player.
I see.
Now, I say that, but if somebody hits the ball heavy and they are an average player, then a blade's going to be really good for them because it doesn't have a big bottom on it.
Right.
So anybody that hits it heavy can move into a blade situation or a more forged club situation. So
Yeah.
you just have to know whether they're hitting it heavy, and they just may like the look of it. They may like the feel of it, and they may give up some distance because of it, because they just may want to hit it better, you know.
Sure. Yep.
So, boy, you just have to know. You either see an older set of clubs, or you see somebody that's a pretty good player. But sometimes I put a average golfer into a blade.
Oh, gotcha. Very cool. Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. With how that again just goes back to how they swing it, and then you can
Yeah,
find a club for them. And sometimes the blade is the answer. So
yeah. So if somebody hits it too high, and they hit a bigger game improvement club, then you're going to put either the and you got to look at the lofts of the club too. I'll get to that, but
sure.
that you may have to get to the blade club just to hit it lower. Or if
Yeah.
somebody's in a blade and they want to hit it higher, then you're going to have to go to a more game improvement or a lofted club. And so even a pitching wedge loft, when I first started golf, was 48 degrees. My pitching wedge loft right now is 42.
I see.
Now, people that play golf understand that you got maybe a 56-degree sand wedge. Well, then all of a sudden you've got 14 degrees of difference between my pitching wedge and a sand wedge. But in a retrofitting, in a fitting that happened years ago, 48, 46 was pretty standard in a pitching wedge. And then you had a gap. Then they came out with gap wedges, okay,
Mhm.
because there was this gap between the pitching wedge and the sand wedge. So they put this other wedge in and made it and became a gap wedge. That was probably 30 years ago, but it's much newer than what it is. And so
Right.
then there's lob wedges, and now there's 64. So people just have to figure out. I have to help them. And I did that today with a phone interview with somebody. I said, you don't have enough wedges. You know, you got a 43-degree pitching wedge and you got a 56 sand wedge, and you're a pretty decent player. You need something in between, maybe a couple clubs in between.
Right. Yeah, interesting. What have you found when you do those initial assessments or your initial work with a player? What is kind of your philosophy, whether you're doing it online or you're there with them? How do you go about kind of structure and, maybe you've prioritized club fitting and things like that, but when you're starting to work on technique and you have the tools and you've decided on the tools, what is your philosophy for going through a lesson? What do you look at first? How do you go about doing it?
So let's start with, I have a launch monitor. Okay, so now we have Flight Scope. There's TrackMan, Flight Scope, Foresight. There's a lot of launch monitors, and they give you a ton of numbers for what we're looking at. So people are wanting to know how far they hit it, how far they carry it, and they want to know their club speed. And so then I'm looking at this 43-degree wedge, let's say, and they're at impact. What is the loft of that club at impact? Because if they're losing distance, then maybe they're taking the loft of their club from 46, maybe they're going to 56. Maybe they're lofting the club. If you're de-lofting the club and you're going from 43 to 38, then you're losing distance not because of that, but maybe because of something else. Maybe you're mishitting it off the toe or the heel. So the launch monitor tells us where the ball is being struck. It tells us the angle that the club's coming down into the ball. It tells us the club head speed and 40 other numbers that you want to have. Now, that is mostly for me, but students want to know those numbers. But I want to know if they're losing distance, are they doing it because they're lofting the club, or is it just a mishit on the club face?
Right.
Now, my camera system, I have a camera system. It's called V1, and we do the cameras, we film them, we show them a before and an after if we're making a move and we're doing. And so everybody wants to see their swing, and they want to see what they look like and how they are. And sometimes they want to compare themselves to a pro. I do that only to show specific positions.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because not everybody can swing like anybody else. Everybody's going to be different. But I do show them, hey, if you set up to a driver and you look like this and you need to look like this, how can I make that happen? And so I do that to show positions and whether they're swaying, how they're turning their chest, how they're moving. It gives me a clear picture of what I have to do to help that person. And then as I work with them, and I give them the details of what we're doing and the practices and the drills, then I show them an after, and I say, now you need to do this. And I told one gentleman from Colorado, I had him this week and twice, and he's goes back and forth from Nashville to Colorado, and I said, you need to take 3 practice swings the way that I've been telling you before you hit every shot. Because most everybody else just drags another golf ball over and tries to hit it and just tries to think about it. And if you're not making the motion and actually performing slow motion that way to do it, then it's not going to come just like that. I have a trainer that I'm working with, and he says, the one thing I like about you, Nancy, is that you will not try to do more reps just to get more reps in. You're going to do it because you're going to make sure that your posture and the body is exactly, and because of that, you may have to do less reps because it's it's more
Oh
on
yeah,
you.
that's right.
He says, you're not somebody. I'm somebody that's trying to do things correctly,
Yeah.
for my body to be able to handle it. So sometimes I've got to teach those people, just back off, take a slow motion swing, make this happen, and go from there.
Yeah. The that idea of feel versus real is very powerful, and maybe in golf more than anything else, where you feel like you're getting into a certain position, and that's when that video becomes really useful and helpful for you, I'd imagine. And it's
That's
the
right.
same thing in the clinic where I get to I take lots of video for before and after, and to be able to show certain movements when we start driving, certain rotation back into certain joints, and then not having the compensation at different spots at the same time. Very useful to have that, but just to show them this is what is actually happening. It feels like it's not, but we need you to get into this position like a little bit better, right? So it can be a powerful thing. Sometimes with the tech, you got to be careful with, relying on it too much. But it seems like you got a really good combination of using the tech when it's the right time.
Yeah.
And I know a few people that rely solely on this pro swing, and this is what we're going to get you to do. But it seems like, again, and that's just what I've heard from a lot of patients too, is how well you work with what they're giving them. And then my job is to try to give them much more so that you have more to work with when you're working with
That's
them,
correct. That's
essentially, right?
exactly
So,
right. Exactly
um,
right.
yeah, well, very good. And then I wanted to ask you, you've seen that kind of distribution of shots is gotten maybe a little bit more crazy with the addition of more speed and more bigger clubs, things like that. And when it comes to injury or restriction, things like that, have you noticed a trend over time, or what are you seeing is the biggest thing holding golfers back physically from getting the positions you want them to get into or performing how they want to?
Probably what I personally see through the people that I teach is that they do not do anything to stretch or to warm up.
Mm,
So I think that they are very physically tense or tight, and
yeah.
I don't think that we do enough to to warm our bodies up, or just on for our daily, for anything that we do daily. And I think that's what happens most with everybody, is that
Yeah.
they are tight. They may not be able to make the turn back. They may not be able to separate the body on the way
Oh, yeah.
through because things may all move together. So it's mostly, how do I get them to do something different with their lower body than their upper body
Hmm.
when they don't have that mobility. So the mobility is the biggest. I mean, they're walking down the cart path to my building, and I'm walking to see how they walk. I'm
Hmm.
checking them out. If I have a moment to see how they do and how they walk, and then I say, hey, you got anything going on with that left knee? Oh, yeah, I had a little surgery on it a couple years ago.
Hmm.
But what's interesting is that I'll have them warm up. I'll say, what club are you going to warm up with? I'm going to get my 7-iron. I'm going, okay, you're just going to hit a full swing.
Sure. Right.
you're
Yeah. Yeah.
not going to hit, you're not going to hit any warm up wedges or anything like that.
Right.
No, I'm good. I'm all good. Maybe I worked out this morning or whatever. So I just don't think people take care of their bodies, me included, with that I don't think that we do enough to stretch and to be mobile
Right.
just on
Yeah.
a daily basis.
Yeah. It's you take what people are doing in their normal lives, and then you ask them to do what Rory does, or that's what people are asking for, to hit it longer, consistent, and be able to get in these same positions, and it just doesn't work. And what you had mentioned with the separation and how people, their lower and their upper just move together, and
Right.
that's one thing, especially towards later in the treatment plans, where when we've freed up some space at each individual joint and we've worked through the pain, that's one of the biggest things that we start to try to work on is, can we teach you to use these joints independently of each other, efficiently and actually effectively?
Right.
And that's when that before and after becomes really useful or great
Yeah.
to have too, because you see, this is you trying to move your pelvis without moving your trunk, and you see how those two things are locked together. well, now we can actually start moving this thing a little bit better independently.
Yeah,
And yeah, that's important.
that's so very hard. And you get people that you say, well, what sports did you play growing up? Did you ever throw anything underhanded? Did you ever skip a rock? Well, that ages people when they say skip rocks, but
Sure.
throwing underhanded or whatever, and or playing, hitting a tennis forehand or whatever it is, and you just got to get people back into thinking what they had to do to play a different sport or play a sport. And golf is a sport. Golf is it's not easy to hit that ball on the face of the club, and when a body's not able to make a move or not able to do anything, if we get bigger, older, and tighter, it just becomes harder.
That's right. Have you noticed one area of pain that most people are coming in with? Is it a shoulder, low back, or a knee?
No, I haven't. Mostly everybody that comes in, I mean, everybody's going to be a little different. If it's knees and knee replacements, things like that, or hip replacements, I see a few of those. I see, yeah, I've got some low back issues, some neck issues. I try to really watch the neck issues because that's something that's very difficult with golf. But when it comes to shoulders, if you're, people swinging fast, we've had a few that have knocked a shoulder out,
Well,
and done that, or they've done it away from me, and
yeah,
now they're coming back after a couple of months, or they're having to reset. So a lot of shoulder, elbow, of course, is
of course,
always
yeah.
going to be another one. Wrist with women are always going to be an issue. I try real hard to make sure the grip is good for everybody so that they don't get loose, and getting them to hit solid contact, that helps those wrist issues. But mostly
Right.
tennis elbow is what it is now with golfers. But shoulders can be because they're really maybe firing
That's
it
right.
back and firing it through.
Yep.
That's going to be all of this upper body is probably, and the spine is probably the most.
Yep.
But knee issues, things like that, if they've got uh, replacement or they've had this, then you're just going to see them kind of not move into it, even though it may have
That's
happened
right.
2 or 3 years ago.
That's right. Yep.
It's all part of that. It's not going to hurt, but they're going to baby it, you
Hmm.
know. And so I don't. That's what I see mostly is mostly spine, neck, trunk, shoulders,
Yeah.
elbows.
Yeah. A little bit of everything.
Yeah,
But so do I, right?
yeah,
And what you had mentioned, so important is whether they're dealing with pain now or they did in the past, and how that is affecting whether they're going to load into that joint the way you want to or not,
that's
right?
right.
And so you had mentioned you're watching someone walk and you ask them about their left knee, and boy, how important is that left knee? Because we have to put all this force, lateral and torque twisting, into that left side,
That's
which
right.
means if we have a left knee that's a little ticked off, even if it just kind of bothers them a little bit, be surprised at how much force they are protecting from that knee from having that.
That's
And now
right.
we have low back problems because we're going to start torquing through the low back a little bit more, or we start
That's
spinning
right.
out a little bit, right? All sorts of
That's
crazy
right.
things can happen. And so that's another thing that we really work on is I can get a table test to start looking better, right? Maybe we're working on hip mobility, and we get that left hip back to 30 degrees or more of internal rotation, even from 10 to 30 degrees. But we need to make sure that when you're
That's
standing
me.
up, that's what. Yeah, hopefully, working through that.
It is.
Um, that we also get you confident enough when you're standing to slowly put force and load into that new internal rotation space you've opened up,
That's right.
and that hip feels okay and comfortable with that. And we're teaching the pelvis to start doing that on a planted foot, and a foot that's
Right.
not going to tilt or evert or invert and compensate, but it's actually going to stay planted and supinate and pronate instead. And then we build some speed into that left hip too, and we start we start with a little bit more dynamic force getting you in and out of that hip and rotating in a closed chain,
That's
things
right.
like that. So you really can't stop at pain or tolerable pain, because the golf performance won't show up again, and certainly the other compensations will start to rise, right? So you have other swing characteristics, but also you're going to have other regions of pain in time. So yeah, really important to appreciate. It sounds like you really do, how a little bit of pain will totally change mechanics and your ability to produce force
Sure
and
does.
do
Sure
what you're
does.
asking them to do. Um, and you're experiencing some of that yourself in the rehab process.
I
What
am.
can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I'll start it back 2.5 years ago. I had a side issue, and I remember swinging and hitting and coming through that. Man, I'm just this is just a weird side issue. So I was working through that with a trainer, with a PT. I was working through that. I had a shot. It was like a little itty bitty thing like this that was just hitting the nerve.
I
It may
see.
have been a floating rib or something, but they didn't quite know. They
Oh,
didn't want to. They didn't want to take it out or anything. So I still deal with that, trying to get up off the floor. Just getting on a floor, getting up, or doing a plank. That was difficult. So
oh,
I've been going through doing some of that, and getting the follow through to here. That's where my side bend. That's where
that's
that
right.
pain would come in. So I was dealing with that, and I'm going through all of that, and then I'm just at I'm both a PGA and LPGA member, and in their education with the LPGA. So I'm in Phoenix, and we're having an education with 18 LPGA wannabe pros, and we have to watch them teach, and we have to uh, tell them how they're doing, what they're doing, how they could do it better. I'm just walking to the range, and I'm going, oh, this doesn't feel good. My hip started hurting, and I'm going, man, this just doesn't feel good. And it kind of went away. And then next morning, same kind of thing, got in a shower, still was bothering me. I get home, this was October. It didn't really bother me much after that, but I went to a mall here in town, and I was just wanting to I wanted to go from one store to the other side of the mall. I couldn't make it.
Oh,
And I just went to the car, and I just sat in the car for a little bit, and I called the gentleman that did I had a rotator cuff injury. I forgot about that. That was
I see.
15 years ago. So
Sure.
rotator cuff, just, moving this shoulder this way, that way. That happens all the time too, by the way. Forgot that one. But I called the gentleman that did my rotator cuff. I said, I need a good hip person. And he told me to call so and so, and I did, and I got in and I got an MRI. Not the person that I need to see. He said, it's not your hip. So I went to Dr. Martin, and she said, Nancy, she gave me one test. I couldn't lift my right hip up off the table. So she said, your glute muscles, your tendons have pulled away from your hip.
Oh,
So January 29th, I had an open glute tendon repair. And it was a 6 month to June 22nd. For 2 months, couldn't drive,
wow.
couldn't walk except with a walker, very limited weight on that glute, on that foot. Until then, PT twice a week, but I couldn't even go out with my leg to do anything. I had to keep it right straight in front of me for 2.5 months, and a PT twice a week until I got released June 22nd.
I see.
So I'm hitting golf balls, I'm playing, but I am working with a trainer to try to get the muscles built them back up and
Yeah.
do. And so that eventually I will have to have a hip replacement because I have arthritis in that hip.
Sure.
Eventually I will have to do it, but hopefully not anytime soon. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
so I've been pretty diligent at working with my PT
Very good.
really diligent of doing things on my own here at home, or going to the rec center, or going to my trainer. As much as I tell people you need to work on your golf game, I have to work on this. Otherwise, I can't help anybody in golf. So
Sure.
I couldn't even um, demonstrate. I took
Yeah.
my cane and I would push their shoulder. I said, "Now you're going to do this. You're going to do that."
Right.
I couldn't demonstrate. I couldn't load on that right leg. It was my right
Of
glute.
course. Yeah.
And a friend of mine has the same surgery up in Bowling Green about uh, a month and a half or 2 months ago. She fell,
Mm.
ripped it all out.
Yeah.
Ripped it all
Yeah.
out.
That's
And
tough.
it's a dog that did it. She was in her wheelchair walking the dog, and I'm going, "Oh no, no, no,
Yikes.
no." And so
Yeah.
that's hard. It's hard to not do something that you're used to doing
Right.
because you may get hurt again. So
Yeah.
it was January. Golf is kind of slow at that time for us. So I did everything I could, and I'm still doing it. I'm still working on it. I'm still, working on trying to do my side bends gingerly so that I
Right.
can move that and do, but that's really it. The glute's doing well. So
Okay. Good.
thank
Yeah. That's so interesting. You somehow avulsed you had an avulsion fracture, or just a full separation of that gluteal tendon. That's very interesting. Do you know what could have done it? Was there one moment where
I
when you
do.
were with the ladies? What was it?
I do. It was an ongoing. I'm trying to get more distance, just like everybody else.
Of course.
So I'm doing things to pressure into that.
Yeah.
I've got a body track, pressure in, just pressure, just doing as much as I can pressure with that. And because of that, and trying to get more speed and doing it and really working hard at loading,
Yeah.
I know that's what it was.
Yeah.
So I'm
Well,
giving up on distance right now.
sure. That's reasonable. The good news is you nailed it. You were right in the glute. A lot of people struggle to find the right thing to create
Right.
that rotation. The good news is you had enough body awareness, and you were good enough to really get into and coil and pivot into that glute. Unfortunately, it was a little bit too much. So sorry about that. But
Yeah.
the
So
good news is
that's
that'll
what
make your rehab process a little easier. You have the
Yeah, so
awareness.
I'm really doing well at loading into it.
Good.
It all comes back to separation for me.
Mm.
So it all comes back to being able to have that separation, to be
Yeah.
able to hit the ball higher, longer, farther. So I'm 70 years old. I'm like most everybody. I don't have a lot of neck mobility and things like that as I get older and such. So I'm just doing what I can to
Of
do it.
course.
But so now I'm working on the separation exercises. So there you
Yeah,
go.
you're there. You're in that late stage treatment, so very good.
That's right.
And that's where that efficient power comes from too. So when you
That's
get
right.
that back, you'll be smooth sailing.
Yeah.
Well, very sorry to hear that, but glad you're in the right spot now,
Yeah. Thank you.
and well on your road to recovery. So good. What
Thank you.
let's see. How often do you actually get out to go and play? You're able to play now?
Oh, all right. So the last full 18-hole play I had was a year ago, May. I do pro-ams for my customers, and I played in the Dominican Republic, and I actually had
Cool.
that shot in the rib so I could go play
I see.
in the Dominican. And so I just play in pro-ams. So the next one is Hawaii next year. So I'm sorry. So I'm assuming that I'll do that. I'll still play with customers to do that. I'll do
Yeah.
play lessons, but I don't
Cool.
play. But I did play with a play lesson a couple of weeks ago, 7 holes, did really well. I was
Okay,
pretty
good.
pleased with it, but they wanted me to play.
Yeah.
So I only take my clubs out there if they say, I want to see you do it. And I say, okay, then I load my clubs up and I do it. Otherwise, I'm not a big player, but I am going to play more. I am going to start to play more now that I'm um, kind of pain free,
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
it is something I love to do, and I do enjoy it. I just don't like doing it in 99-degree weather.
I can't blame you there. Yeah, it's been very difficult here this last
Yeah.
month,
So I
and
usually
I really
play a
can't
lot
blame
in
you.
the fall. I usually try to play more in the
Yeah, good,
fall.
good. What what have you? Surely you've played all over Nashville. What I'd like to ask is a little bit about Nashville golf specifically. What have you seen here over the last decade or so change? Surely a lot, but in terms of Nashville golf, what are some things that you're seeing change here in Nashville?
Well, what I'm hearing from different places is that the prices are going up. There's people playing all the time. COVID brought golfers out to the golf course.
Yes, it did.
Okay, it just did, and it exploded. Now, the only explosion that we saw that with was years ago when I was at Hermitage Golf Course. There was no other golf courses, no other public facilities. And then, so they started making public facilities, started making them, and then all of a sudden they overgrew. So we haven't overgrown golf courses. There's not that many, there's metro courses, and you have to you have to understand that it takes a lot to maintain a golf course.
Right.
And I think that people don't understand that when you have a $75,000 green and you have 18 of them, plus you have maybe a couple practice greens, and you put that, and you got to water it, you got to get the diseases out, you got to mow, and you got to do all this. It takes a lot,
Yeah.
and it's expensive, and I hate that. But the prices have gone up, and the golf courses are somewhat in good shape, but they are struggling with some
Yeah.
of, because they are opening more tee times out. They're putting more footprints on the ground, and they're struggling with that. So, yeah, you can raise your prices, but you don't necessarily have to go every 8 minutes with a tee time. You can go
Right.
10 minutes. You can spread them out, and that's hard. So, but what I've seen a lot of growth with the game, a lot of people playing,
Yep.
which is great,
Hmm.
which is good for the game. It's
Of
good
course.
to grow the game and to do. The problem is the prices go high, and people are playing. It's Nashville. People are coming in from anywhere. Like I said, the gentleman from Colorado, I've got people that come in all the time from out of state coming into play, and they're paying the money to play. So it's a busy time for golf.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. No doubt
and
about
it's
it.
unfortunately it's expensive as well.
Yeah, yeah, and people are willing to invest in it and invest in their
Yep.
golf too. And I've had a gentleman fly out from DC, the Washington area, for treatment specific to golf as well, and try to get that integration going too. So the good news is people are willing to invest in it. Um, but yes, it continues to get busier and busier here in Nashville. You see certain courses that have historically done pretty well. With some maintenance issues and things like that starting to pop up here and
Yeah,
there.
and I'm seeing. I mean, I'm not. I'm expensive as a golf lesson. I understand that, and so, but it's my knowledge that I put in. I try to teach people out of golf lessons.
Mm.
I try
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
I don't try to. You need to come every week. You need to come every week. I'm trying to give them the tools to do it themselves.
smart. Yep.
And if I can give them the tools to do it themselves, and then they go and say, man, she worked with what I had. This is all I wanted. She gave it to me and we did it. And I think that if people would go that route, that people, but I'm going to buy the things that I want to buy, but I'm going to spend money because I want good things. And
Right.
if I need to get something to work out at home, I'm going to invest.
Right.
and I'm going to put my money in it. And I'm going to put my money into clubs that I can hit, that I'm going to be able to hit. And I may change clubs in 2 years because it's that important to me
Right. Yeah.
if I can find it. So I don't mind investing and going to play golf courses that like Pinehurst and Pebble Beach, and going to Hawaii, and I
Yeah.
like experiences. I want to go play and have experiences when I play. I don't want
Yeah,
to
of
just
course.
go in 2 hours. I'm done with 18 holes. There's people out there that do that. I want to enjoy. I have 3 rules when I play golf. I play with who I want, when I want, and where I want.
Yeah. Well said.
And I don't even talk about the price. That's not the deal. If somebody says, let's go play here, I'm dying to go to Swanee and go play that 9-hole golf course. I haven't played it yet. And I know that I'm going to have to make the tee time in a year in advance. And I'm going to do that because I want experiences.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well said. I like it. The last thing I want to ask you here, when it comes to Nashville golf, what is one or a couple holes, but at least one that you've found to be historically like the most difficult hole for you? Is there one that kind of comes to mind as has always given you trouble, or when you show up to that course that day, you're thinking about it?
Um, well, the when I'm teaching my mental class for students, I tell them that there's a golf course on hole number 10 at Hermitage Golf Course that my golf ball tends to always go into the little ditch over here on the left hand side. So if that is something that is in my brain, then, and if I go play that golf course, the General's Retreat, and I see that hole, I'm going to remember that. Okay. I'm going to remember that.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not a hard hole. Okay. It's not a hard hole.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's just where it goes.
Yeah.
Gaylord, there are 2 holes back to back at Gaylord that are difficult. 3 actually on the front 9
See.
that are difficult. But what I do is I know they're difficult. And what I do is, instead of thinking that they're a par 4 for me, I'm playing that as a par 5. I'm
Yeah.
saying
Fair enough.
I'm going to give myself grace with that hole. And if those 3 holes are my nemesis at Gaylord, so I'd go hole number 1, I'm always going to par. Hole number 2, I'm going to bogey. I'm going to par number 3. After 3 holes, I'm going to be 1 over. Okay, so then I go to the next 3. Well, 4 and 5 are tough, but 6 is easy. So I'm probably going to be 2 over after that. So I divide that off. Even though it may be a hard golf hole, I don't make it harder by having an 8 or a 9 or a 10 or losing a ball in the water. I make it easy to position myself to hit onto the green with the shot that I know I can make.
Yeah.
So I try to position golf if it becomes hard. There's beautiful holes. Probably Golf Club of Tennessee is one of the best, beautiful golf courses there are. I play well when I get to play at Brentwood Country Club. It
Nice.
meets my eyes. It's great. I love it.
Okay.
Things like that. So there's golf courses that I really enjoy playing, and golf courses that I haven't played in Nashville. But the one that I see the most, of course, is Gaylord, because I'm out there. I'm out there all the time. I go maybe play Golf Club of Tennessee once every 2 or 3 years.
Nice.
And I haven't played Hermitage in a couple of years. I usually go out there and play once a year, but I haven't played in a couple of years because of my injury. But, so I enjoy playing holes and I enjoy playing golf, but I'll tell my customers, just like I tell myself, if I haven't played it, I'm going to look at it on Google Earth, and I'm going to look at a scorecard, and I'm going to try to lay out where I need to be. Even me, when I'm playing, that's what I'm going to do.
Smart. Yeah, goes to show the preparation that goes into
Yep.
the game plan.
Yeah.
What holes were they at Gaylord that gives you trouble specifically?
Number 2 will give me trouble. Number 4 and number 5.
2, 4, and 5. Gotcha.
Nothing
Okay.
on the back. Nothing on the back 9 gives me trouble. And the rest of the golf holes on the front 9, no trouble at all.
I see.
But it just, I just don't hit it far enough to hit number 2 with in regulation. And number 4, I can hit the green in regulation, but it's just a tough green. It's a green that's elevated, and number
Sure.
5 is the same way. It's a narrow. I can hit the ball straight. It's just trying to feed it up into the green the correct way. And with my injury that I had and my separation anxiety that I have with my golf game, I don't get the ball airborne enough, high enough
Yeah.
to get distance enough. And I teach people all the time, you have to have height to get distance. And they said, what do you mean? I said, every golf ball should go the same height.
Sure.
The pitching wedge should be this high. It just gets there quicker. The driver should be this high. It just gets there later. But that's where I struggle, is trying to get that height with all of my clubs.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And so then that's my separation that I need. But people, that in and of itself is a aha moment with people when they say, oh, you got to hit the ball higher. I said, yeah. And I said, if you can get the ball higher, you're going to hit it farther. You're going to carry it farther. And carrying the distance is what is key for people.
Right. Yeah. Well said. All right.
Yeah.
Well, very good. We'll leave it at that. And I hope you get to play the top course at Golf Club next time you're out there.
Yeah.
Get to experience that.
Have you played it?
I have not.
Let's go play it.
Let's do it. I've heard it's very fun.
We can find somebody to take us up there, but I haven't played that one yet.
That's
the
right.
other one's beautiful, but I haven't done it yet. That'd be great.
Yeah. Very good. Well, I cannot wait for our round on the top course at Golf Club.
That'd be great. I'll look forward to it. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah, thank you for doing this. This was great. We'll get this out soon enough. But thank you, Nancy. Really appreciate you coming on the podcast. We'll do it again sometime. Maybe we'll do a podcast out there on the top at Golf Club. That'd be fun.
That'd be awesome. Okay.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Nancy.